I'll give you a breakdown of the entire manifesto. I think we outlined some 21 points, and it had to do with economic expansion, creation of jobs, business support programs, tax reforms, digital economy, governance, plan for the elderly, plans to reduce cost of living, environmental protection, sports and tourism, protection of our borders, that's security, infrastructure expansion, healthcare, education, affirmative action for women. So these are the points we outlined, and under each we have what the government or the flag bearer seeks to do when he wins power by God's grace. So the economic expansion, we are talking about further accelerate the growth and expansion of the economy over the next 4 years. You know, the post-COVID program for economic recovery is underway, and we are looking for ways, or we are putting measures in place to ensure that we bounce back to pre-COVID levels where we had the single digits, for inflation and then growth and other things that comes with it. And then we are also looking at fiscal policy that has to do with disciplining spending against expenditure against revenue, and then tax reforms, and then fiscal consolidation that also has to do with disciplining ourselves in terms of spending of money or expenditure. So
you cut 3%.
Yeah, that is the Fiscal Responsibility Act that we introduced. And then we are looking at amending the Fiscal Responsibility Act to include a fiscal rule whereby our expenditure will not exceed 105% of previous year's tax. What this means is that...
What's that?
Yeah, I'm going to explain it. What this means is that...
But we already have a fiscal responsibility.
Yeah, act. So he says it will be amended. Dr. Baumia says to include a rule that says that our expenditure, or that would ensure that our expenditure does not exceed 105%.
Why are you politicians so ridiculous?
No, and I was going to explain that.
There's law.
You
are
obviously
economics. Breaking the law. And you say you are going to... You're just not...
No.
It's the law that you are not...
No, he says you amend it.
For what?
Amend the Fiscal Responsibility Act. That is already existing. To include a policy, a fiscal rule. When you hear fiscal, it has to do with spending.
Yeah.
Anything. A fiscal rule that will enable us not spend above 105%. He is saying this because here in Ghana, we hardly run a budget balance or even a budget surplus. We are always running a budget deficit. That is because we spend more than we receive. Our expenditure always exceeds our revenue. We have wants. Our wants are unlimited against our scarce revenue or our scarce resources to meet the numerous wants of Ghanaians. And let's also not forget that in terms of payment of tax, the number of Ghanaians that are eligible to pay direct tax are actually not the number that is paying. And you can seek for information from the Ghana Statistical Service as to out of the 18 million Ghanaians who are eligible to pay direct tax, about 2.5 million are actually paying the direct tax. So you ask yourself, what about the 15.5 million? Who is taking or shouldering the responsibility of that 15.5 million people? That is why we always have our revenue, our expenditure exceeding our revenue. So this Fiscal Responsibility Act will actually not equal or make our revenue equal our expenditure. We wish, but then we are not there yet. Maybe that will take some years to happen. But then we will try and then discipline ourselves in terms of spending so that we don't exceed 105%. So that is what the amendment is talking about. You understand? Yes, the Fiscal Responsibility Act has already been introduced. But then Dr. Baumia is saying that he will amend it to include a fiscal rule that says that expenditure shouldn't exceed 105%. So that is the explanation I've just given.
Why are we breaking the Fiscal Responsibility Act today?
Breaking?
Yes.
No, and
we're not supposed to exceed 5% of GDP, but we've done that. So why are we?
That is why I explained that we always run a budget. We always run a budget deficit.
Why?
Because we spend more than we receive.
Why? Because
a lot of people do not pay tax.
Why? Because
most of our people are in the informal sector.
Why?
And it is very difficult to trace them to collect taxes from them. This has been a menace with the Ghanaian economy, not just under this NPP.
So then you have to relook. So you have to relook your economy and know how to spend. You don't use the wise and reason for the wise to overspend and come and tell me that, well, it's because people are not paying taxes, and when we even spend, we don't get them. How do you spend money you don't have? How?
No.
This one is basic economy. It's not even GDP. No. It's just basic. How do you spend money you don't have?
No, I don't agree with you on that one. How do we spend money we don't have? We would have to spend money whether we have it or not.
Yes, we do.
We would have to roll out programs, put up infrastructural developments. That is what every government seeks to do. And all of this comes
the point I'm making
money.
is that we have, you see, it's the reason for spending. That's why we have the Fiscal Responsibility Act, because we know that, we even have to spend even when we don't have. That's why we go for loans and all that. But to ensure discipline, the Fiscal Responsibility Act has been put in place to guide you. Why are we going beyond that? And you telling me that when you come and you amend it, that one you obey that rule?
No, Annie. In this case of expenditure against revenue, no government can claim they are so disciplined and that they can ensure that they don't spend so much.
I expect this government to claim.
No. The government says that, yes, we've introduced a Fiscal Responsibility Act so that we'll check our spending against our revenue. And then Dr. Boateng is saying that this act is already existing. However, when I come into power, or when Ghanaians give me the nod and give me give me the sort of office to swear and then become Ghana's next president coming 2025 January, this is what I'm also going to do to, ensure that the Fiscal Responsibility Act is actually being used for its right purpose. So this current government says 5%. We shouldn't exceed our revenue by 5%. Dr. Boateng is actually saying that we shouldn't exceed our expenditure by 105% because we always run a budget deficit. And this is how he tries to try to manage the situation whereby we are trying to consolidate our fiscal activities, have a fiscal policy. We are simply trying to put ourselves in a situation whereby we live within our means and ensure that we don't spend so much to exceed our expenditure. And he's saying that we will amend the Fiscal Responsibility Act to include a fiscal rule that will make us not expend or spend beyond 105%. That is what he is saying. So until we give him the nod to take power or take over power and then put this into practice, this is what he's telling Ghanaians. Yes, under economic recovery, post-economic recovery program that we are going on or we are going through. And then under creation of jobs, he's saying that he's going to train 1 million youth in digital skills and create SME jobs with introduction of the SME bank. So Annie, for SME jobs, small and medium enterprises jobs, we launched the SME Go about 2 months ago. I don't know if you followed up. Ministry of Finance launched the SME Go, and then about 8.9 billion Ghana cedis was introduced or was put into the launch to actually revamp SMEs. Most of our women and men are into small and medium scale enterprises or medium businesses, and their problem is basically finance and other things. Sometimes they have issues of finance and they can't really find their feet. They are trying, but then it's not enough. So government is deliberately doing this to support them. And Dr. Boateng says that he's also going to ensure that these SMEs, or he creates SME jobs with the introduction of the SME bank that will also ensure or go on financing these SMEs.
All right.
And recruit more special needs teachers, given our quest to introduce scholarships for people living with disabilities. So, we have a part of our manifesto that says we introduce scholarships for people with disabilities and then include accommodation in the scholarship so that our brothers and sisters who are disabled can also further their education to the highest level. And when you do this as a government, you need more teachers who are versed in the disability form of teaching so that they can also help with the growing. I know the numbers are going to grow. People are going to take up the opportunity. Our brothers and sisters who are disabled are going to take up the opportunity. And we need more teachers to fill the space to be able to help and teach them. Employ more lawyers for legal aid, at least 2 lawyers at each district, so that disputes, among others, will be settled.
Okay.